Meanwhile, the management of Innoson Motors has withdrawn the 3 million naira scholarship grant given to Mmesoma Joy Ejikeme over her alleged involvement in the manipulation of her UTME score. And this was contained in a statement by the company's head of corporate communications, Cornel Osigwe. They revealed that they had been involved in the process of investigating the allegations surrounding the 2023 UTME examination results for its scholarship recipient. The investigation was supported by the subsequent report of the discrepancy of Mmesoma's UTME score, as well as giving her the opportunity to voice her stance on the allegations. The company also relied on the outcome of the committee set up by the governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo, to arrive at its conclusion. And joining me now to have shared thoughts on this very issue, I have joining me an educationist, Dr. Peter Ogudoro. Good to have you on the news at this time. So first off, let's have your thoughts on the recent case of UTME result inflation involving Mmesoma Ejikeme in Anambra State.
Well, that's certainly a very unfortunate development in the history of our education as a country. And interestingly, we have to say it's sad that young people get so desperate if the outcome of the investigation is anything to go by. It does indicate that the level of desperation is acute. And we have to start asking the question, why are young people going to this length to be able to impress their parents, the schools they attend, and probably the larger society? What I find as a researcher in the industry is that the quality of education we're giving our children is not top-notch at the moment because we're teaching them what to think and not how to think. Because if we have succeeded in getting children to learn how to think, then a child who is 19 years old, as we are told, and who is finishing secondary school and getting ready to go and study medicine at university, should have known that the dummy sold to her called upgrade is not tenable, because the people who are telling her those things do not run JAMB, and those private individuals who stay in cyber cafes and sell these ideas to these young people do not have the capacity to determine who has earned the highest mark in JAMB. Only JAMB can make such pronouncements when it concerns entrance examinations into tertiary institutions, and only WAEC and NECO can make similar remarks and come to such conclusions when it concerns senior school certificate examination. So I am very concerned about the quality of education we're giving our children. How a 19-year-old child will accept, would believe that it is possible for her to make an announcement that she's probably the highest scorer and the world will believe her, when there's an examination body that does have the responsibility to tell all of us that.
Indeed, and how concerning it is. But, does this rather reflect the broader issues within our educational system? And what do you think steps should be taken to address this concern?
Yeah, I think that we need to admit that indeed JAMB has made considerable progress with respect to putting the right technology in place to minimize the incidence of examination malpractice as it concerns the particular exam they conduct. They should then now take the next step to provide public enlightenment that targets the children who write these exams, so that they can understand what the truth is regarding the exam they conduct, and discourage them from listening to people who parade themselves as individuals who can inflate the marks that they score. Let's get them to understand that that's not a possibility, given the current circumstances. I'm not sure that we have succeeded in achieving that level of public enlightenment that would discourage parents and their children from believing what charlatans who are using this kind of fraud to make money are telling them. So we need to work harder and more aggressively in that direction. But as a society, it's also important that we say the right things to our children and get them to know that they don't have to earn high scores to be good children. They also do not need to get into university to be successful, because it's very important, it's very possible that you can become the richest man in the world, become the most impactful person in the world without even a university degree. And for our girls, they don't have to study medicine to become very successful mothers, to become very successful public servants, to become very impactful individuals. So much as the heat is on this young girl, I see that there's a systemic flaw. Our society has sold the idea that we need degrees, we need, to be successful, we need to be better than others, to be recognized and to be useful. That's not correct. We should use a public enlightenment, a strategy to be able to correct these wrong impressions. And so, by way of summary, what I'm saying in effect is that, yes, the heat is on Mmesoma, but the heat should also be on all of us. As a researcher in the industry, I know that all that is being equal, over 50% of the children who are aspiring to get into the university this year are Mmesomas, because they have all bought into these rubbish ideas of, that they can upgrade their results because their parents and society are putting them under too much pressure to get into the university now, which is a wrong idea.
And let us quickly look at the implications that this case might have on the perception of JAM's examination system. What do you make of this?
Are you talking about the candidates writing the exam?
I'm talking about the implications of this case. What do you think this would have on the perception of JAM's examination system going forward?
Well, overall, this is salutary for JAM. That is a kind of vindication for them. And so the integrity of the exam will be further enhanced, and the perception will be boosted, and people are likely to trust the body, the more. So I think that we should give them, credit for putting in place a system that is looking trustworthy. We also must commend Anambra State government for for demonstrating commitment to knowing the truth and setting up a committee. And I'm so pleasantly surprised to discover that these professors who considered this committee worked, speedily to, within a matter of a few days, conclude their investigation and make that public. This is the way we should go as a society. And if we sustain this, I think that Nigeria would have started a journey to, claiming our rightful place in the Committee of Nations.
And in a nutshell, what measures do you think should be implemented to prevent any future similar incidents?
Public enlightenment. Let's teach our children well. We are not teaching them well. There's so much emphasis on, teachers using lesson notes to teach and not focusing attention on getting the children to learn how to think. It's so low, the quality of thinking within the Nigerian society at the moment as a result of the type of teaching methodology we use, to run our education system. I think is subpar. So we need to invest in teacher education because this has revealed, in clear terms, that our children are not good quality thinkers. They are just collecting grades, which do not, reflect the type of, children we want to send to the world to get involved in the competition that is so fierce in the world we live in today. So I hope you get the point I'm making there. We need to upgrade the quality of teaching we give to our children. If you have a child who is properly trained, if you sell a dummy to the child will know. If you tell a child that you are going to upgrade her result and they are going to town with the claim that she's the highest scorer, a child who is 19 years old and who has finished secondary school, about to enter university, should know that that is a complete lie and will not pay money to procure such a lie. And finally, I also want to confirm that other things being equal, Mmesoma did not act alone, and I suspect that we should not abandon her. She's a very young person, and she's going through a very serious trauma at the moment, and probably will fall into depression. And we should find out who are the people behind what has happened to her. I have reason, given my experience and training and skills, to believe that she is under threat not to reveal the people who are behind what has happened, but she should be helped to understand that revealing the people who are behind what has happened will do her no harm. And that's very important for us so that we can get to the root of the matter.
That's a fine place to leave it. Dr. Peter Ogudoro, thank you so much for your insights on the news at 7 this evening.
My pleasure.